Welcome to Category 5 Technology TV, episode number 459 for Tuesday, the 5th of July, 2016. So nice to have you here. I'm Robbie Ferguson, your host, and it asks that you please help me welcome my co-host tonight, Jeff Weston.
Glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here, man. Tonight's going to be a great show. We're going to be looking. Show. You brought your Raspberry Pi 3 in with you, and I promise that, hey, if you brought your Raspberry Pi 3, we're going to learn to turn it into a Plex Media Server.
I've been asking you about this for a long time.
Well, the nice thing about Plex Media Server is it's going to allow you to stream your video collection to all of your devices.
I'm so excited because we've got 3 different devices in our house, and they're all standalone, and it's horrible for trying to watch something.
We're going to centralize all that using a Raspberry Pi 3, so you want to stick around.
I can't wait.
Me too.
Oh,
it's going to be fun, folks.
Good times. Okay, so should we talk about the news?
Please do.
Okay, well, here's what's coming up in the Category 5.tv newsroom. London police may soon turn to drones to give chase to motorbike thieves. Ransomware is on the rise. Go figure. The new Ubuntu phone specs have been released. They've been leaked, actually, not released, but leaked, and it's nothing short of incredible. The first death while driving a Tesla car in autonomous mode has occurred, and it looks like the driver was watching a movie when it happened. And many of Jupiter's mysteries are soon to be uncovered as the second spacecraft in history has made orbit of the largest planet in our solar system yesterday. Stick around, the full details are coming up later in the show.
This is Category 5 Technology TV.
Welcome to the show. I'm Robbie Ferguson.
And I'm Jeff Weston.
Jeff, it's so great to have you here.
Glad to be here.
Feels a little warm in Studio D today, though.
It's like stupid warm today.
Maybe we should turn on our Minority Report style clock fan.
Yeah, what? No way.
What?
Okay.
Trippy.
And you know what? That's just cool. I started a new position in my office yesterday.
Yeah.
And I've been looking for a fan to get in my office.
There you go. You just found it.
I am getting one of these.
This is one of our big sellers this week on our website. You can actually, it's cheap, and you can head on over to shop.category5.tv, and over in the right-hand side, there's a little search. Type in fan. How easy is that?
It's very easy. For the record, if that thing stays on the whole show, I'm not going to be paying attention to it. I'm just going to be watching it.
We're going to be like Darth Vader.
Like, it even has a second hand. That's crazy.
Yeah, do you guys see that moving around? It's hard to see. I know that it has a little bit of a flicker on camera because we're 30 frames a second, but it's actually pretty cool. You want to reach out and touch it.
I do want to touch it.
That's kind of neat. Our biggest seller this week is actually these guys.
Oh, House of Marley.
The House of Marley Rebel BT headphones. You notice there are no wires. How did these ones sound, Jeff?
Those are by far the best headphones I've ever put on.
That's what you said last time we talked about it.
I know.
And House of Marley said, whoa, really?
Yes.
You think so? And this box came today.
Are you kidding me?
What does it say right there?
Attention, Jeff. Yes!
You'll notice I already opened the box. I'm not used to getting packages for other people. You better get into this.
Oh, dude.
They also heard that it was your birthday. And incidentally, you said, I want one of these for my birthday.
Did I actually say that?
You did actually say that.
That's amazing. I'm going to be watching that fan and listening to music for the entire episode.
That's the entire show, folks.
Yeah,
so have a great night, and we'll talk to you later. I love my Rebel BTs.
I'm excited.
If you haven't already got a pair, head on over to cat5.tv/headphones. And when I say they're hot sellers this week, I mean it. We're actually running low on stock.
Really?
So make sure you get your order in today, and that's going to ensure that you get a Rebel BT from House of Marley. They sound amazing. They're very comfortable for extended wear, and you've seen them here on the show. We did a full review as we kind of tried them out for the first time, and since then I use them practically all the time. And I love them. Batteries last forever, too.
Can't wait for the show to end.
And once again, that's it. That's all the time that we have tonight, folks. So have a great day. Jeff, you picked up an amazing computer through one of our partner links. One of the ways that you can support us.
Yep.
So tell us a little bit about that. For those who didn't hear, you went to category5.tv.
That's right.
Clicked on our partners.
Yeah, and I bought a computer through Newegg.
Okay.
It's a CyberPower PC. This thing is incredible.
Nice.
I have not had a desktop in a long time. I've been running with laptops for about 7 or 8 years, and I decided it's time for me to go back to a laptop.
A desktop.
A desktop, sorry, yeah. Something to get some dual purpose going with the Linux and the Windows. Because
the power of a desktop computer.
Yeah, and I love this thing. I've had it for a few weeks. Other than issues with Windows and that red screen
It's not
of
the
death.
computer's fault.
No, it's not the computer's fault. Definitely not. It's Windows. I love this thing, but there's one part with this computer I cannot figure out.
We looked at it on the show. We said, "What is this backplane?"
I think we've covered it on 2 different episodes.
Yeah, well,
and we still can't figure it out.
C128D keeps it going on YouTube.
Has he?
This week says, Jeff. Do you want to pull this thing up? Those are not red switches. And I'm going to interject, but I think he's saying, "You idiot! You idiot!"
Okay, well, for the record, they're switches.
They are latch handles, according to C128D. So let's look at them in a second.
Okay.
It says they are not electrical; they're mechanical. It says hook your finger into one of them and give a slight pull, and the door that the handle is connected to will open, revealing what C128D suspects is a hot swap bay. And goes on to say, if you post a link for the computer in question, I'll research it and verify this, but 98% sure. Okay, so it's not a hot swap bay. What is it? This is just a fancy fandangled cover. Just a dust cover. So I guess you can take it off, and it has a very fine mesh, so you can blow out the dust that gets sucked in through there.
Yep.
So we still have the question of this backplane.
That's correct.
Okay, can I?
Yes.
So this backplane hits right here.
Yeah.
So let's C128D. We're going to do this. All right. So you have a screwdriver here somewhere?
I do have a screwdriver.
One of these great Kingston screwdrivers that comes with the kit. Let's use a flathead. I'm going to use this. We're going to do a little bit of prying. I hate to pry, Jeff.
Well, I'm going to let you this time.
Okay. Let's see what's behind door number 1. Oh, come on. It's on there real good, and I even scratched it for you.
Oh!
That's the official Category 5 scratch. Goodness me, Jeff.
See, this is my issue. I can't get into there.
You can't get in, and you can't see what it is. It does not look like a backplane at all.
No.
I mean, it does on the outside, but there's no access.
And it's, if you can get your fingers in there, it's actually hollow inside, so something should fit in there.
It seems like it should be a drive tray, like one of these guys.
Right.
Right?
But I can't access.
But you can't get the front. Okay.
It is a mystery.
Let's look a little closer here.
All right.
Can we... Let's flip this over, Jeff.
Okay.
Let's get a look. This is for C128D and all of those viewers who are like, what is this thing? Okay, so this is bolted on. This is screwed on. The face, I'm thinking maybe pull the face off. Let's grab my handy little flashlight here. Okay, they're not screwed on. So, if I can get in here, Jeff, with my sausage fingers.
Now, are you going to need access from the other side as well?
Yeah, I think so.
All right. Let me just pull the side panel.
Is it off?
Almost off.
Okay. You tell me when.
Off.
All right. Let's get a good look here.
All right. So, yeah.
So there are these little nub-like guys that don't want to release. You want to...
There's
okay,
one.
that's one. There's two. Let's try for 3. There's 3. Oh, we are almost there, Jeffrey.
Almost.
We're going to figure this out, folks.
Are we able to get it from the other side, too?
I think we're going to have to.
All right. Let's see.
Okay, one.
I feel like we're doing surgery or something.
We are doing surgery.
Hold on.
You got to remove some of the backplane there. Okay, keep going, keep going. C-128D is on the edge of their seat. Come on, baby. You need 3 people to do this. Jeff's just kind of like Wilson hanging out behind the computer over there.
Oh, I haven't seen that show in years.
Yeah.
Why won't this one come out?
That's the one. That's the one of the
one that's
the
just,
nub of
where's
death.
that screwdriver?
It's right here.
Let me see if I can push
Think
it.
you're going to try it? Sorry for the scratch, by the way.
That's all good.
Oh, there we go. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, what do we got here? Ah! It's a backplane tray.
Look at that.
It is. It's got SATA backplane. There you go. Okay, so
That was the most difficult piece to access I've ever seen.
holy cow! Jeff, you're not going to believe why I couldn't get these off. They open that way.
Oh my goodness.
They're a door.
All right then.
So somehow,
But
Okay,
But oddly enough, it
no
wouldn't.
way. Oh,
So when that's in there, it won't open.
Oh, for shipping, they put these in. Now we know.
That makes sense.
Okay, let's put the.
My face is
back
just
on
a
here.
desktop tonight.
Yeah.
All you see is
Your
a mohawk.
face has never looked better, Jeff.
Look at that. It's a desktop with a mohawk. Just like that.
Cool. All right, so let's put this back on here. If I can find out how.
Yeah. Looks like it snaps in from the top and then...
Yeah, it kind of does. There we go.
There we go.
Here I am trying to pry it off. Okay,
Okay.
are you ready for this C-128D and everyone else at home who's been wondering about this? And Jeff? That, my dear friends, that's how it's meant to look. Look at that, Jeff.
See, now it makes sense.
Now it makes sense.
But I couldn't figure it out because I couldn't open it.
It's almost like they took the cover off and put it back together wrong.
Yeah.
So we have a dual SATA backplane here for hot swapping a hard drive.
Right.
So you could use that for backups, external backups. You could use that to extend your storage. How fantastic is that?
That's awesome.
Now you know, buddy.
Now there's no mystery left on the computer.
No mystery. No mystery.
Wow. That's
There we
exciting.
go. All right. So this was not it. This was just a... There we go. I think that's on there.
No, it doesn't look
Mute.
like it. Now it's on.
There
we
you go.
All right.
We solved the mystery tonight, Jeff.
We did.
There you go.
I'm going to put that down. And
At least you can't see the scratch when the tray's in. Oh, sorry, you heard that?
I heard nothing.
Now we know. Now we know.
Only took us 3 episodes.
I know. We didn't know. Did we look? No. All right. Well, that's that. We've got to take a really quick break. We're going to be right back with looking at the Raspberry Pi and Plex Media Server
So excited.
right after this. Don't go anywhere. Jeff Weston,
Yeah, man.
you're building a brand new, beautiful website,
What?
aren't you?
No. Am I?
Oh, you're a terrible actor.
What?
This is where acting comes into play.
Oh, I didn't know we were acting.
You're supposed to act.
Okay, fair enough. All right.
I'm building a really cool website. Are you building a really cool website? You need hosting. One of the things about a hosting account is you don't want to have limitations put on your website.
It's true.
How much hard drive space do you have? How many email accounts? How many domains can point to it? Well, we've got an amazing deal for you. For a very limited time, cat5.tv/dreamhost, for just $5 and a bit of change per month, you are going to get unlimited website hosting, unlimited email accounts on that hosting service. You are also going to receive a free domain name.
Ooh.
So your own .com
Nice.
to put that amazing website that you've been working on
It's
on
true.
there. If you want to build a WordPress site, fine, sign up cat5.tv/dreamhost.
Just don't put Panama Papers on it.
Just don't do it. But hey, it's a great deal, folks. Best deal you're going to find. $5 and change per month. Go to cat5.tv/dreamhost. This is Category 5 Technology TV. Welcome back to the show. We were looking at Jeff's computer there just before the break. One thing that hit me during the commercial there is that you got to watch that your kids don't go and pull out one of the drives while it's hot.
Well, I've trained my kids fairly well that you don't touch the computer. So I think we're okay.
But it's so intriguing. I had a computer set up at a mutual friend of ours' place with a hot swap drive bay, and the drive happened to be the OS drive.
Oh, no.
And their kid came in and pulled out the drive while it was hot. So while SATA is hot swappable, it's like a USB drive. You do need to make sure that there aren't read-write operations happening at the time. You've got to eject it safely first and then pull it out. But you don't have to necessarily turn it off.
Right.
But you don't want to pull it out while it's copying files and running an OS and this and that.
That would be painful.
So keep that in mind. I think that's going to do real well if you just stick an old laptop hard drive in there, like a 500 gig, and use it for your backups, just to keep redundant copies.
Actually, with my laptop that I'm no longer going to be using, it's got 2 hard drives in it. So
perfect.
I'll use one of those.
Fantastic.
For that. Yeah.
Very good. Speaking of the technology at your place.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about your multimedia situation.
Okay. So we've slowly been eliminating cable type services from our house over the years.
Like the TV networks.
Yeah, TV networks
like that,
and stuff like that. And so it's been, first we had a Western Digital player for... first we were using the PlayStation for all of our DVDs and Blu-rays and stuff.
Okay.
And
that'll prematurely wear it out.
Yep. And then PlayStation did an update, and some of our Blu-rays would no longer play. So
that's nice of them.
Yeah, so we had to get a new system. So we got a Western Digital something or other.
Like a TV box from Western Digital or something.
So we've been using that for a while, but that had limitations, and we couldn't, cast to it like you could with a Chromecast. So then we got a Chromecast. But then because of the show, I keep hearing about Roku and our Western Digital. We've had it now for 4 years, and it's starting to fail. So I'm like, well, we need something else.
Yeah.
But with all of that, we only have the one external hard drive. And so what's been happening is it's like, well, the kids are playing on the PlayStation here, so now we're going to move the external hard drive to this TV. And so your hard drive is moving
swapping
around.
It around. Oh, my goodness. And I would assume that you're running into problems with compatibility of certain video files.
Yes, that happens as well. So some players will play the AVI, some won't. Some play MP4, some won't. And it got to the point where my wife was just frustrated. She's like, I don't know what plays and what doesn't. And so I'm like, well, let me see if I can find something that works. So I asked you about with the Raspberry Pi playing Plex Media Server.
We're going to get into what Plex is and how it works, and we're actually going to install it on your Raspberry Pi for you. Yeah. I think it's our responsibility as men to take care of all the techno blips in our household in the event that our wife is frustrated.
Absolutely.
Of course, there are some very savvy women as well. I'm not saying that, but as the tech guru in my household, I take a real pride in making sure that stuff works.
Yep.
And it doesn't always.
And
it's like the cobbler in his shoe and the kids with their old shoes.
Yes.
It sometimes happens that way. Yeah, it's got to run smoothly. So one of the things about Plex, first of all, is it is a transcoder engine. What that means is you've got one server or computer or system, in this case it's going to be a Raspberry Pi 3, that acts as the connection for all of your devices. So your Chromecast connects to it to watch the shows. Your Roku 2 connects to it to watch the shows. And by doing that, this server makes sure that the file format going to those devices are the right format for that device to play. So be it an AVI, an M4V, any file format that you can throw at it, really, you put it on Plex instead of your device itself.
Right.
So then when I click on Plex and I browse through my library from my Roku, even though Roku may not be able to play AVI files, natively,
right,
Plex will convert it on the fly without you ever having to see it happen instantaneously. In the amount of time that it takes to go loading, it will convert it to the format that you need for watching it seamlessly on your Roku device. And that works on all of your devices as far as I know. Yet to find a current device that it doesn't play on. It'll work on your phone. You can install the Plex app, and you can access it there. And then you can cast it to your Chromecast.
Which is awesome.
And you can use your Roku, and you can use your computer through the browser.
And it will also, I was reading, it will also allow you to access it remotely, will it not?
If you set it up in your firewall, you could.
Yeah.
Yes. Now, as far as performance goes through the internet, that's going to be limited to your internet connections
Well, of
upstream.
course.
And typically upstream for internet is relatively low compared to your downstream. The
Yes.
service providers expect that you're doing more downloading than uploading, so streaming from Plex out to the world is going to use a lot of your bandwidth. But in-house, it gives you a centralized place for all of your media in a very accessible format.
I'm excited.
Think of it like your own personal Netflix. Your home movies and
It looks like it
everything
too.
else. It really does.
Yeah.
I think I brought a little media library with me. Let's see here. I always carry some USB sticks with me. There we go. That's got some media, so we're going to use that for testing tonight.
Perfect.
We've got your Raspberry Pi that you brought in 20 minutes before the show.
Yep.
I've plugged it in. It's up and running. There it is. And what we're going to do is we're going to actually set this up as a Plex Media Server. So this little device can be in a closet somewhere, plugged into Ethernet, or even on Wi-Fi, although I would recommend that you use Ethernet if you can. And that is because if you've got the kids watching it on the TV and you're watching it on your phone and your tablet or whatever else, Wi-Fi bandwidth, as you know, is not as fast and reliable as Ethernet.
Right.
That said, the Raspberry Pi 3 has 802.11n, so it's very, very fast Wi-Fi, but that doesn't mean that your wireless in-house is going to be able to handle that amount of bandwidth. So first of all, we started talking about you maybe pulling out your old computer and turning it into a Plex server. And
yes.
Immediately I said, I don't know if it's going to be able to do it, because it does have to do all that transcoding on the fly. It's got to be pretty powerful.
And it's an old desktop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I got looking at the Roku 3, the Roku 3, the Raspberry Pi 3. We're going to be throwing out a bunch of crazy brands tonight.
That's
so
right.
if I slip, you can correct me and laugh at me. We've got the Raspberry Pi 3, and I got looking at the specifications at 1.2 gigahertz with a quad-core processor. It's pretty darn fast. The Pi right out of the box has a gig of RAM. It's got a great video, a good performing video device. So it really would work well. Not only could it be just the server in the back room, but maybe you plug it into one of your TVs as well, and it becomes the Plex on that TV.
Right.
While
Exactly.
all the other ones connect to it. So that's pretty brilliant. So jumping over to our Pi, and I'm going to do my best with this because I've got keyboards all over the place. I got keyboards and mice, and I'm going to try to hit the right ones here. Okay, so on your Pi, I should say, let's first of all jump into our terminal, and what we're looking at here is Raspbian. This is Debian, so what we want to do is sudo apt-get update. This is the very first thing, and this is vanilla Raspbian, okay? So this is typical Debian instructions. It's Raspbian Debian Jessie, and this is a free download from raspberrypi.org. Probably came pre-installed. A lot of the Pi units even come with it pre-installed.
Yes.
If you go to cat5.tv/Pi, you'll get a micro SD card that has Raspbian already preset up for it.
Yes.
All right. So looking at that, it's just getting my sources list and updating. That's the very first thing that you want to do. Next step, of course, is we want to do sudo apt-get upgrade. That's going to go through our package list and make sure that everything is up to date. You'll notice that it says there's nothing to install on my system, and that's because, just to save you some time tonight, I pre-did that before the show. Sudo apt-get dist-upgrade is the very next and final thing that we want to type in there. And there we go. So we've got all our updates. Now that process is probably going to take several minutes, maybe a half hour to an hour for you if you've never run those commands, because it's going to have to download all of the latest packages and the latest kernel, and everything gets installed on your Raspberry Pi. It's important that you do that. We had a talk before the show about the firmware.
Yes.
And your Sony PlayStation, you got a firmware that broke it. Well, I prefer firmwares that fix things, and that's what happens on the Raspberry Pi. So with that upgrade, you're actually getting the problem with Bluetooth when it first came out, which we're not going to be using Bluetooth on the device.
No.
But we know that Bluetooth, the bug that was there in the kernel, was causing instability on the Raspberry Pi 3.
Yes.
That's all a thing of the past. So by upgrading, we now have a working Pi that we can trust is going to be reliable. So now the final step here is sudo reboot and hit enter, and that's going to restart our Raspberry Pi. There we go. Oh, let's zoom out a little bit here. Nice and zippy, eh? So as I say, this is just a vanilla install of Raspbian Jessie. Black screen as we wait for it. Don't worry, folks. There it is. Okay. All right, let's get back into our terminal, and this is where the fun begins. And hey, I want to remind you, if you're watching the show live, get into our chat room, Category 5 on Freenode. Jeff, if you want to have that up, just in case there are questions, and make sure you ping Jeff and say, hey, here's a question for you. Or
There
comment.
was a question,
Oh, yeah?
totally unrelated to the Raspberry Pi.
Oh, really?
Yes. So
We're not going to digress, are we?
a little bit.
All right.
Somebody's still asking about Sasha.
What about her?
When she's coming back.
When she's coming back?
Yeah.
We have Sasha here on August the 3rd, I believe. No, the 2nd.
Is it the 2nd?
Tuesday,
Okay.
August the 2nd. So mark it in your calendars, folks. Write it on your hand and don't wash your hand for the next 4 weeks.
Gross. But totally worth it.
Yeah. All right, so she will be here. Okay, so jumping back to our Raspberry Pi, it has booted up, and we've got our terminal back up and running here. So next thing that we need to do is we need to set up, for some reason, I'll just say, Raspbian does not have the ability out of the box to have HTTPS sources in your apt sources.list.
Okay.
So what that means is your repositories are all going through an HTTP connection. We want to change that. We want to fix it so that we can use secure connections. So the way that we do that is sudo apt-get install, and there's this package in Debian, and it's called apt transport HTTPS, just like that, with the hyphens at apt-transport-HTTPS, and hit enter. That's going to download that tool, that package, automatically and install it on our system. So now our apt sources.list can contain HTTPS repositories.
Nice.
That's important because the repository we're going to be tapping into tonight for our Plex Media Server is going to be using a secure transport. Okay, so jumping back there, it's already done, nice and quick. So the next step is that we need to actually add a repository, and this one comes to us from Universität Leipzig in Germany. So we need to go into cd etc apt, and then we're going to go sudo nano sources.list. And there's our current file for Raspbian's repositories. And we want to add this particular repository, which is HTTPS. I probably want to go deb, don't I? Yeah, deb. So watch this. And don't worry, I'm going to actually put this information in the comments below. So if you lose this, or if you can't follow what I'm typing on the screen, make sure you just copy and paste. That's another way you can do it. Okay, so we're going HTTPS. Remember that we installed the transport for that. And we're going to dev2day.de. That's a server host at Universität Leipzig. And we're going to go PMS, which, guys, come on now. That stands for Plex Media Server / dev2day-pms. I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm looking at the key. /PMS. There we go. Space. Jessie. Main. And I should probably have a trailing slash there as well, just to be sure. Okay, so if I've got that right, and I run an apt-get update, get update, sudo, I'm going to get a warning that I don't have the key, and that's where I was getting ahead of myself. I need to install their key. So watch this. And you definitely want to get that key because then now it's connecting. It looks like it's working. And reading the package list.
I hate when it pauses at the last couple percentage.
Come on, 98%. Okay, so you see that GPG error?
Yes.
It's basically telling me we can't confirm that this particular repository is who they say they are. It's HTTPS, but we don't know their public key. So we don't have any way to confirm that, yeah, this is actually them. So we want to add that key to our system, to our Raspberry Pi, and that's going to protect us just in case somebody goes and, tries to pretend that they are them. So the way that we do that is let's go into /TMP. There I go. I literally, for those of you in the chat room, I literally just typed that into the chat room. That's what happens when I've got several keyboards here. Okay, CD/TMP, because we're going to wget a file. So wget-o- this is a nice little command for you. https://dev2day.de/pms/ and here's where I was, dev2day-pms.gpg.key. I could download that to temp, and that's fine, and then I could use sudo apt key to add it. But why don't we do it all in one fell swoop? Let's pipe it with a pipe. Why is it giving me a tilde? Oh, I think it's thinking that I have some kind of French keyboard. Nope. That was an exclamation point. Oh, come on. Raspberry Pi. Do we have a keyboard detection somewhere? My keyboard doesn't have a pipe. So let's do it the old-fashioned way. And we'll just download that. There we go. So now we actually have a file in our /TMP that is that file, which was, what did I save it to? dev2day-pms. No, I didn't output it. Let's remove that hyphen there. I'm only doing this because my pipe doesn't work. Oh. Sorry. I need to change my command. Okay, so I'm going to actually download that key to my current folder. Now I have a copy of it. -O means output to this particular file name, and then hyphen just means output it to the screen.
Okay.
Okay, so we're having to work around that. So now, if I go sudo apt key add, and then the file name, I believe is the syntax. There we go. Okay, so it says okay. So you could have gotten around that by doing it all in one fell swoop by doing this. Let's pretend there's a pipe there, okay? So that's the vertical line. And then you could just go sudo apt key add dash. Okay, so that's where you could do it differently. We've had to do it by downloading it first and then adding it there manually. Okay, so not all that complicated, but let's run sudo apt-get update again. And you'll see now, because we have that key, we're not going to have that GPG error at the end there. So here we go. So we're looking at a Debian repository. This repository is containing the Plex Media Server installer application for Debian, which will run on our Raspberry Pi. So that is... See, there was no error. So now I can actually install that. So we can go sudo apt-get install, and we want to actually tell it that we're using the Jessie folder or the Jessie branch of this repository. So we type -t space Jessie, and then simply Plex Media Server, just like that. Should find it. There we go. It's asking me if I want to install it. It's going to install Plex Media Server and Plex Media Server -installer. I'll say yes. And there we go. So what it's doing now, Jeff, is it's actually downloading Plex Media Server off of that repository that we added, and it's installing it on our Raspberry Pi.
Exciting.
It's pretty cool stuff. All right. So it's grabbing a handful of things. We're going to take a quick break for the news while we await that installation process. When we get back, that should be all complete, and we're going to carry on by actually connecting to our Plex Media Server for the very first time. We're going to set up our media libraries so that you can see how you can use a USB flash drive. An external USB hard drive, for example, is a great way to do it. If you've got you can have a 2 or 3 terabyte external hard drive and put all your video files on it and connect it to your Raspberry Pi. We're going to learn to do that right after the news, so stick around. Over to the newsroom, here is Jeff Weston.
Here I am. All right, it's Tuesday, July 5th, 2016, and here are the stories we're covering this week. London police may soon turn to drones to give chase to motorbike thieves. Ransomware is on the rise, and you may find that it's way more than just your Windows PC. The new Ubuntu phone specs have been leaked, and it's nothing short of incredible. The first death while driving a Tesla car in autonomous mode has occurred, but it looks like the driver was watching a movie when it happened. And many of Jupiter's mysteries are soon to be uncovered as the second spacecraft in history has made orbit of the largest planet in the solar system yesterday. These stories are coming right up. Don't go anywhere. Now here's another great way you can support the shows you love from the Category 5.tv network by shopping at GearBest.
That's right, Jeff. cat5.tv/GearBest. It's an online store for the geek streak in you.
Or the loved ones.
Well, of course. I mean, especially your loved ones, right? Because cat5.tv/GearBest, quite frankly, has all of the greatest tech gifts that you could ever hope for at rock-bottom prices.
Do they have cell phones?
You betcha. Cat5.tv/GearBest has a wide assortment of unlocked Android cell phones and tablets.
What about consumer electronics? Those make a great gift.
Absolutely. From high-tech watches to action cameras, headphones, even virtual reality headsets. Cat5.tv/GearBest has you covered. They literally have it all, Jeff. Literally.
Really?
It's like a superstore right from the comfort of your own chair at your computer through the interweb.
Yeah. There's no way they have it all.
It's true.
It's just a bunch of random electronics.
Test me.
What about clothes?
Yep. Both men and women, fashionable apparel at rock-bottom, super-duper prices.
Kind of like this?
Well, look at this coat. What do you think? It's a slimming mock leather jacket.
I love it.
It's available for less than $30 plus free shipping at cat5.tv/GearBest.
Yeah, all right. You kind of got me there.
Wow. Any other questions for me, Jeff?
Now that the winter has passed, flying season. Do they have any good deals on, say, drone copters?
Oh my goodness! Well, check this out. Dude, they have everything. Check out over 500 various drones. And not only that, they're available marked down by about 30 to up to 63% off the regular price.
Love it. What's the website again?
Well, you're going to find GearBest on our partners pages for any of your favorite Category 5 TV shows like New Every Day, Category 5 Technology TV, The Pixel Shadow. But of course, if you want to shop absolutely right now and you want to go straight to the site, all you have to do is visit cat5.tv/GearBest.
See, that's easy. cat5.tv/GearBest.
That's right. Happy shopping.
I'm Jeff Weston, and here are the top stories from the Category 5.tv newsroom. London police are struggling to come to terms with an increase in motorbike raids, specifically in Camden and Islington. In the past 12 months, more than 3,000 thefts were recorded, many of them linked to drive-by crooks with two wheels. It's a bid to curb the rise of drive-by snatches on the streets of London. The Metropolitan Police may turn to drones to track motorbike riding suspects. At a recent meeting of the London Assembly's Police and Crime Committee, Deputy Commissioner Craig McKay said that UAVs could be a safer alternative to officers pursuing so-called moped gangs across the capital. The Met has launched a review of its pursuit tactics after an inquest found that 18-year-old Henry Hicks died in a crash during a high-speed chase. The teen, who wasn't suspected of a crime, was trying to evade two unmarked police cars and a helicopter in Islington in 2014. In order to reduce the chances of a similar incident happening again, McKay said the force is now considering its options and available tactics, which may involve the use of drones. Drones have already proven effective in day-to-day police operations, helping operators control protests and investigate intrusions. However, their use in pursuits could also save money by reducing the need for helicopter support. UAVs will be able to track and monitor the movements of potential suspects, directing ground forces to wherever they're hiding. The Metropolitan Police said that the possibilities of unmanned aerial vehicles to tackle suspects using two-wheeled and four-wheeled vehicles to commit crime are currently being discussed at a national level by the National Police Chiefs Council Steering Group and the Center of Applied Science and Technology. I think this is awesome. My only concern, though, is there's limited battery life with drones.
Well, a higher-end drone is going to get you 20 to 30 minutes of battery life.
But we all know from the O.J. Simpson trial.
Oh, well.
You need more
That's
than half
the
of-
example. When we look at a chase, that's the example we want to refer back to.
Well, that's like worst-case scenario. What was it, 7 hours?
It sounds to me more like, though, I mean, initially when you mentioned this story, I thought, oh, people are stealing motorcycles.
No, they're stealing phones.
They're getting on motorcycles, going and grabbing people's handbags and driving off.
Yeah.
So if a drone could chase them, maybe that drone could find out where they're headquartered, where they drive up to.
It's possible.
And a good drone can be up high enough in the air that you wouldn't even know it's there.
That is true. And especially if the undercoating was maybe like a sky blue paint, you wouldn't even notice it.
Sure. Yeah.
But in order for this to happen, you have to like get the drone dispatched immediately and get it to the area it's supposed to be.
True.
So, and I mean, no drone is totally autonomous, so you're going to have somebody running it. So where would they be dispatched from?
Yeah.
And I mean, there's a lot of issues
You know,
to overcome with this.
I don't
But it could be
know,
cool.
though. It could so be done.
Absolutely
Because you
it
think
could.
about, the infrastructure of wireless technology and the ability for police to put up antennas throughout the city that would be repeaters.
Yep.
Like we're talking 5.8 gigahertz devices. So, the ability to extend their range beyond the normal range, which on a high-end drone is going to be anywhere up to, say, 4 kilometers.
Right.
And even higher on really high-end stuff. But they've got crash evasion with Intel's new technology and
That's
the
true.
ability to, so if they're flying FPV, which is the first-person view with goggles, they don't have to be line of sight to the drone, the police officer.
Right.
So they can fly it, and if they're going to hit a building, if they're flying recklessly through a busy corridor of cars, and they're going to hit something, the aversion technology will actually avoid that crash.
So theoretically, I mean, if they had a drone, say, every 4 kilometers that's just stationed,
You
ready-
wouldn't even need repeaters then.
Yeah, ready to go. And
Yeah.
it's, okay, well, we got it in such and such area, activate drone 32, and
Sure.
up she goes. And
I'm not sure how big the force is, but I know that flying a drone of that magnitude would be, that takes skill.
Oh, sure it
It
does.
really does take skill. So the training involved and the practice involved would be pretty high.
that's
so you
why
would,
we're training with teeny drones.
Yes, that's what they start with, right? And they're just in the office going, I don't know. I think it could be done, though. And did you see that wild antenna? So
That's
he's probably
crazy.
He's like, my antenna is bigger
And he's
than
in
yours.
FPV mode.
He's in FPV mode. Yeah, that is a killer FPV unit. That is huge. What are those, 15-inch props? That's crazy. I don't actually know anything about the model. I'm just looking at a photo.
For all we know, that could be a really teeny drone, but it's just hovering right in front of the camera.
It's this big. It's the world's
Wow, look at the
smallest
size of that
4K
thing.
drone. Yeah, I want one.
Yeah, but still, that'd be kind of cool.
That would definitely be cool.
All right. In a report released last month, security firm Kaspersky Lab revealed that ransomware attacks on both PC and mobile devices have risen to epidemic levels. Ransomware is a malware that prevents victims from accessing information on their PC or mobile devices. These malwares encrypt important files or sometimes lock the computer and force the user to pay a ransom in return for gaining back access to their system. Kaspersky reported that from April 2015 to March 2016, over 2.3 million PC users around the world encountered ransomware, 17.7% more than the year before. That's a massive jump. Now get this, the top 5 countries affected by PC ransomware in 2015 were India at 9.6%, the Russian Federation at 6.41%, Kazakhstan at 5.75%, Italy at 5.25%, and Germany at 4.26%. That's 2015. Mobile ransomware also skyrocketed almost 4 times, from over 35,000 attacks for the period of April 2014 to March 2015 to more than 136,500 for the next year.
Wow.
That's a huge amount for mobile phones. Now get this, the top 5 countries affected by mobile ransomware last year was Germany at 22.9%.
What?
22.9%.
Are you serious? That's nutty.
That's almost 1 in 4 PCs affected by ransomware in
Your
Germany.
phone, you're walking around and you're 1 in 4 people and all your files and personal stuff is gone?
That's nuts. However, Canada did not make the list in 2014. 2015, we're number 2, 19.61%. That's 1 in 5 Canadian PCs are affected by ransomware. Get it together, people.
It's not their fault, Jeff. Well, not really.
It is.
Social engineering tricks people because it's smart. It's built to be smart. That's how they make their millions.
I know. And one of these days, I'm sure I'll get nailed with it.
You're going to fall for it. And I'm going to be like,
ha,
ha, ha, ha, ha.
Yeah, I know.
I won't actually. I'll be like, how's your backup?
Exactly. All right. Now, the United Kingdom came in at number 3 at 16.13%. United States at 15.64%. And Kazakhstan back on the list at 14.42%. Now, if you look at those percentages, they are massive compared to the year before. Like, I think, what was it? Kazakhstan was 6 point something. Now they're 14.2. Canada wasn't on the list. We're now 1 in 5. That's nuts. Anyway, mobile security expert at Kaspersky Labs said the extortion model is here to stay. Mobile ransomware emerged as a follow-up to PC ransomware, and it's likely that it will be followed up with malware targeting devices that are very different to a PC or a smartphone. And any connected device with an internet address is at risk.
Your toast has been encrypted.
Yes.
Insert Bitcoin to redeem your toast.
Moral of the story, live like a hobbit. Just do gardening all the time, in the middle of a field. You'll be fine.
You think, well, what is Internet of Things to do with CryptoLocker and other ransomware software? I know CryptoLocker is just the one that's the first one that I saw. My fear is that your fridge, your smart fridge, your smart toaster is an in-home server.
Yes.
So even though you may not have files, what's going to happen? My shopping list gets corrupted? Big deal, right? I'm not going to pay 500 Bitcoins for that.
Right.
But it's connected. It can go out now on your network and say, there's a share, there's a network share, there's your server that has all your personal files, there's the C drive of your main Windows computer. Let's encrypt that.
No.
And how do you get rid of it? You'd be like, where is this coming from? I've got an antivirus on my computer. Where is this coming from? It's your fridge, people.
That's right. What about other things? Like you've got the brand I'm thinking of is Nest.
Yeah,
for
the
home
thermometers.
Yeah,
and
home
stuff.
thermometers. What happens if that gets
thermostat?
Thermostat. Yeah. What happens if suddenly you get ransomware on that in the middle of the summer and your heat kicks in? Like, what happens if this...
If you want to turn down the heat, send 5 Bitcoin.
Exactly. But
oh boy.
You know, I mean, there's so many things that we get now in our homes that are connected to the internet. What if they get picked off, just like your fridge and all that? Or I mean, say these alarm systems. Your alarm system has been picked up by ransomware. Your alarm can't be activated until you pay whatever.
Yikes.
Like, imagine if suddenly...
Yeah, the ransom doesn't have to be a file.
That's right.
It doesn't have to be your files.
But how would you know? Because there's no screen that pops up in some of these devices to say, hey, there's like, it doesn't put that information out there.
Excuse me, ESET, do you have protection for toasters? Do you have NOD 32 for toasters?
Like,
no? What do I do?
Well, yeah, and if some of this stuff gets more sophisticated to the point where you've got, and I realize I'm starting to go conspiracy theory here, but you've got roving thieves, and they can ransomware your alarm system where maybe it doesn't trip with the alarm company because they're seeing that it's still active, but you can't do anything with it. Suddenly they come in, you get robbed, you're like, well, my system was activated.
Sure, yeah, we know your address.
Yeah.
It's got geolocation technology. We can see your geo coordinates, and we'll be there in 15 minutes if you don't pay.
Yeah. All these possibilities.
Lock your doors, folks.
Hide your kids, hide your wives.
Oh, boy. Oh, boy.
All right. After a pair of images leaked last week and following a bunch of code name references, we now have firmer proof that the next Ubuntu phone is indeed the Miez MX6. Did I say that right?
Mizu?
Mizu?
Isn't it Mizu?
Mizu? I don't know.
I'm just guessing. I know nothing.
All right.
I actually know some things.
All right. A product info page passed to Android headlines reveals more about the model. We also have the price. The phone is set to cost €399. That's around $575 Canadian when it goes on sale, which is rumored to be later this month. The 5.5-inch phone will be equipped with a MediaTek MT6797 Helio X20, which is the world's first Deca-core processor. 10 cores!
10 cores in your phone.
That's exciting! I know I'm really loud, but I'm excited!
This thing's crazy. Do tell me more.
Okay. The chip combines a dual-core 2.3 GHz Cortex A72 with a quad-core 2 GHz Cortex A53 and a quad-core 1.4 GHz Cortex A53.
Because if a single 10-core processor isn't good enough for you, let's just give you 2 4-core processors and a 2-core.
Yeah. Love it. The phone's also going to likely feature at least 3 gigabytes of RAM, 32 gigs of internal storage, a 20.7 megapixel rear camera, and 8 megapixel front-facing camera with handle selfies and social events.
Wow.
The phone will feature a fingerprint reader like the Pro 5 and be available in a range of colors.
Well, that's good.
I am excited about this. And I'm hoping...
Go get one.
Well,
be the first.
My wife's phone contract is up middle of this month.
Would you get her an Ubuntu phone?
I'm hoping I can convince her.
But darling, it has 10 cores and it's only €400.
Yeah.
Only.
But, I mean, if you're going
crazy.
to buy like a brand new, say, 32 gig iPhone or something, you're looking at $900
You're
anyway.
not going to. You're not going to. Think about this. Ubuntu, as far as Canonical has wanted to do with the Ubuntu phone, it was to create a system that can be dockable as a desktop computer as well. Imagine what you could do with the power of the MX6.
Yeah.
And the ability to plug that into your desktop and use that as a dockable computer with 10 cores.
It's more than my desktop.
Way more than your desktop. I'd be pretty pleased with 8 cores.
I think my desktop is 8.
Yeah?
I think it's an 8 core.
Beautiful.
I think so.
Well, this is better.
I know.
This phone that fits in your pocket is better.
Buy the desktop 3 weeks ago.
not technically,
Suddenly
but-
it's obsolete thanks
I know,
to a phone.
just like that. Canonical.
But man, I am
How could
excited
you?
about that phone. Next year, my phone contract is up, so I'm going to have to keep this in mind.
If the wife doesn't want it, I'll take it.
Sounds good.
Okay.
All
Cheers.
right.
Cheers.
We should try and see if we can get a donation for the show.
Just like that.
Just like that.
Please send an MX6.
We cover Ubuntu
Please.
enough. Nice lip quiver.
Send 2.
Yes, 2.
Sasha wants an MX6.
What about this guy?
3.
3. There we go.
MX6s.
That's right. And I will listen to my House of Marley headphones.
Oh, you will.
All right. All right. Last week, this story.
This is sad, aggravating,
And
frustrating,
totally avoidable.
and avoidable. But sad. At its heart, there's nothing, it's terrible.
But, yeah, all right. So last week, authorities were investigating a fatal crash involving Tesla's autopilot feature. Mobileye, the company behind some of the sensor tech involved with the Tesla, said that in a statement to Electech that today's collision avoidance technology, or automatic emergency braking, AEB, is defined as rear-end collision avoidance and is designed specifically for that. This incident involved a laterally crossing vehicle, which current generation AEB systems are not designed to actuate upon. It's planning to add detection for that type of incident beginning in 2018, while Tesla pointed out that the combination of the box truck's design and color resulted in automatic brake firing. So what happened is a Tesla car was driving in autonomous mode and was changing lanes and bumped into a transport truck.
Wasn't there a truck that was actually crossing the highway?
Yes, but
the brakes did not fire.
Because it's not meant for changing lanes, but also had to do with the color. So anyway, I'll continue with the story.
Yeah.
So when engaged, Tesla's autopilot feature reminds drivers to keep their hands on the wheel and remain attentive. However, the driver in the fatal incident, identified as Joshua Brown from Ohio, was watching Harry Potter on a portable DVD player when he drove under a truck and into a phone pole. So, this is a sad story. My condolences to Joshua's family. But at the same time, I just have to shake my head and go, really? It's like, pay attention.
We put trust in technology, though, and when you're told it's autonomous, it's easy to forget that, you know what, this is a new tech, and, you know, he's paid a lot of money for it, and has been using it for several months, and trusts it. But the fact is, you've got to stay alert. I use the example of when cruise control came out.
Right.
So when cruise control came out, were people driving with their foot off the gas and brake, and if someone stopped in front of me or a truck pulled out in front, I'm just going to keep going because cruise control maintains the speed? No, you put your foot on the brake because you're attentive. It's not meant to replace you, it's meant to assist you.
Right.
So, you know, there's the, you know, it's a tragic story, but we have to be wise that, you know, this guy should have been paying attention. You do not be watching a movie sitting behind the wheel of a car, regardless of whether it has autonomous mode or not.
Right. Now, I'm very interested to watch how this plays out, because the one thing that I'm looking at now from a legal standpoint, there is going to be challenges on this from both sides.
Yeah.
You're going to have Tesla saying, not our fault.
Yeah.
This driver wasn't operating the vehicle the way it was intended to.
Sure.
You're going to have the insurance company saying, whoa, this isn't the driver's fault, your car screwed up. So now you're going to have these competing interests. It's going to go to court, and I'm very interested to see the outcome, because that's going to have legal precedence moving forward for so many other issues.
I think beyond even just the legal end of it is just the fear of autonomous vehicles.
Right.
And so those who are making rules of the road, and those who are making the decisions, and even those who are opposed to autonomous vehicles, are going to be able to say, see, this is not something that we should be pursuing.
I mean, I can see that. I mean, and anybody who's against it is going to make that argument. Mm-hmm. You know, but the fact is, this is the way it's going. And I think it was, what's the Elon Musk
from Tesla.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So Elon responded to this saying, look, I'm not worried about how this is going to impact our cars, because this is the way things are going.
Right.
And I agree with him. I mean, this is a bump in the road, no pun intended, that they just have to overcome bugs. This is the way things are going to be going. You're not going to be able to stop this trend. It's not like people are going to go, ooh, somebody died, we're going to pull away. I mean, if that's the case, guns would have been outlawed.
You've flown many times, and
Yes.
there are maybe some pilots. Maybe you can, if you're a pilot in our audience, you can answer this question. When an aircraft is flying in autonomous mode or automatic pilot, does the pilot leave the
There's
cockpit?
always somebody in the cockpit.
There's a co-pilot or a pilot always there.
That's right.
Attentive.
Yeah, and with the
This
flip
is
of
an
a switch.
airplane where there's nothing around.
Yeah.
There are no other airplanes next to it on either side, cutting it off and cutting in front of it.
Yeah.
And as far as I know, the pilot or co-pilot is there, attentive, ready to take the reins if something goes wrong.
Right. So I don't know. This story just
So I just don't think it's the technology. I think it's people's interpretation of the
user
technology.
error.
Sure.
To me, it's user error, and I'm sorry if Josh
It's Harry Potter's fault.
That's right. You should have used the Patronus charm.
It's Hollywood's fault.
That's right. There's a part of me that wonders if there's going to be some lawsuit out of this. If it wasn't for such a great movie like Harry Potter, he would have stayed alive. Therefore, we're suing Warner Brothers.
Jeff, I think that's a stretch.
Hey, people get burned with hot coffee and they sue the coffee shop. So
this is true. Yeah. And unfortunately, they win because there are crooked judges.
That's right.
I guess.
All right. Moving on to something that's... yeah. All right.
All right. Better news.
Soaring over Jupiter's poles, a NASA spacecraft arrived at the solar system's largest planet yesterday on a mission to peek behind the cloud tops. The final leg of the 5-year voyage ended as the solar-powered Juno spacecraft fired its main rocket engine and gracefully slipped into orbit around Jupiter. Mission controllers celebrated when Juno sent back radio signals confirming it reached its destination. In the weeks leading up to the encounter, Juno snapped pictures of the giant planet and its 4 inner moons dancing around it. Scientists were surprised to see Jupiter's second largest moon, Callisto, appearing dimmer than expected. The spacecraft's camera and other instruments were switched off for arrival, so there weren't any pictures at that key moment. Scientists have promised close-up views of the planet when Juno skims the cloud tops during the 20-month, $1.1 billion mission managed by NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory. Juno is only the second mission designed to spend time at Jupiter. Galileo, which launched in 1989, circled Jupiter for nearly a decade, beaming back views of the planet and its numerous moons. It uncovered signs of an ocean beneath the icy surface of the moon Europa, considered a top target in the search for life outside of Earth. Juno's mission is to peer through Jupiter's cloud-soaked atmosphere and map the interior from a unique vantage point above the poles. Among the lingering questions, how much water exists? Is there a solid core? And why are Jupiter's southern and northern lights the brightest in the solar system?
How cool.
This is really cool. I love what we're doing with exploring our solar system. And
we are just on the threshold.
It's so cool.
It seems like, oh, yeah, Jupiter has never been mapped in that way. Like, Juno is able to see through the atmosphere and through the outer core, the outer covers, and kind of unveil what we've never been able to see before.
Yeah.
So that's cool. And this is 5-year-old technology.
Yes.
So as propulsion gets better and things pick up, maybe there's something there that we can get excited about. We'll see.
See, what I love about this is I think about my kids. I mean, I've grown up knowing what Jupiter looked like with that storm in the bottom corner, and that's about it. It's a big planet. But now my kids in school are going to get real-time, as it comes in, knowledge going, oh, yeah,
sure.
So, it turns out
there are little green men.
Yes.
On the moon Europa.
I love it. It's totally cool. All right.
So if they do find alien life on Europa, do they say Europa or Eureka? Maybe it changed the vernacular a little bit.
Maybe.
All right, we'll see.
Maybe they'll yell, Jupiter.
You heard it here first, folks.
That's right. Big thanks this week to Roy W. Nash and our community of viewers for submitting stories to us. If you found a news story that you'd like to send, email it to newsroom@category5.tv. For all your tech news with a slight Linux bias, visit the category5.tv newsroom at newsroom.category5.tv. For the Category5.tv newsroom, I'm Jeff Weston.
Thanks, Jeff. This is Category 5 Technology TV. You'll find our website at www.category5.tv. Welcome back to the show. Ow! WSIB. Our awesome Minority Report clock that you can't actually touch from shop.category5.tv.
Technically, you can say that tonight you stopped time.
We're over. Yeah, I stopped time, folks. See how it works? It's just a little LED that, whoa, that's trippy. And it actually puts the numbers upright. That is so cool. It's like awesome. Anyways, it tells me that we're out of time. So have a great night, and we'll see you later. Unless you want to go long.
I'm okay with I vote for long.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's do it. Okay, so we're looking at Raspberry Pi as a Plex Media Server. Tonight, we've started installing it. Let's bring up our Pi. There we go. It's all done. So all your talking, Jeff, over the news gave us enough time to install Plex Media Server. It was actually done during the first story.
Ah.
There you go.
Well
okay,
done.
so now that we've installed Plex Media Server, as we demonstrated here, the next step is to simply reboot, sudo reboot our Raspberry Pi, and there we go. So it's going to go through that reboot process. Why do you expect that we want to do that? Well, fact is your Plex Media Server is a web server of sorts. So there are so many different things being installed and different packages that are being activated that rebooting is going to make sure that all of those are up and running and working well. So it's a good step at the end of it to reboot. And also, your Raspberry Pi is a micro SD card, so rebooting syncs the file system and makes sure that if there is a power outage or something, that the file system is, everything's saved. Speaking of your micro SD, one of the things that you could do, Jeff, is you could purchase something like a 128 gigabyte micro SD. They come it's really tiny and yet really huge. Look at the size of this chip. And for those who've been in computing as long as me, I find it amazing that has 128 gigabytes of storage on it.
Yeah, considering that like a 1 megabyte hard drive was an entire wall back 40 years
My
ago.
RLL hard drives were 20 megabytes, and they were like this. 3U is what it was called. So the whole bay of the front of your computer, they're huge, but very tiny capacity-wise. Now it's the complete opposite. So that said, you could, if you wanted to put your media library on the Raspberry Pi so that you don't have to connect external devices, you could buy a larger capacity SD card. The advantage to that, of course, is that you don't have to have wires coming out. The disadvantage is micro SD is going to be reading and writing as you watch videos, and so you're going to reduce the life of your micro SD card. Because it's the operating system, it's nice to just have it running and then have your actual media streaming from another device. So you can use an external hard drive. That would be what I do. So we've got a 32 gigabyte chip in there, micro SD. That's got just our operating system in Plex now. And we're going to use external devices to store our actual media files.
Right.
An external USB hard drive can be 3, 4, 8 terabytes. I mean, whatever you want to do. And just keep your media on that. And then you can access it from your Plex device. Okay, so let's jump back over. This is finished booting up. And now there's nothing really to do on that screen. If I bring up my actual computer now, so a completely separate system, I should be able to now access that Raspberry Pi Plex server through my computer's web browser.
Right.
Because I'm on the same network.
Right. Okay.
The one thing that I do need, however, is I need to know the IP address of the Raspberry Pi. Quick way that I could do that is to actually bring up the terminal and type sudo ifconfig, and you'll see a list of the different networking devices, and I can see that my network on Ethernet is 192.168.0.105. So if we jump over to my computer, let's go to 192.168.0.105, and then we need to specify the port. And the default port on a Plex Media Server is, you're going to need to memorize this, 32400. All right? And then /web. You're going to want to bookmark that. Now, this is the moment of truth, so I'm pausing purposefully because if all went well, and I'm hoping it did, our Raspberry Pi should now be a Plex Media Server.
All right.
Are we ready? I'm going to hit enter on this.
Oh,
and there we
look
go.
at that.
Through my browser, I now have Plex running. I can hit F11 and make it full screen, and that's a beautiful device. Okay, so we're going to agree to this, and we need to sign in. So this is your device, Jeff. So what we're going to actually do is I'm going to get you to use your username and password.
Is this one or the other keyboard?
It's actually this keyboard. This keyboard is the Raspberry Pi, but we're actually connecting from our computer. So I won't bring it up on the screen because that's private. So he's just logging in with a pre-existing Plex account. So you see that there is a sign-up option there as well. So you've obviously already gone through that. Now, how did you find that process?
Oh, it was really quick, really easy.
And did it cost you money to do that, or
The
Plex
server-
is free.
Yeah,
the media server is free.
Was free. I think the app was $5.95.
And what did you install that on?
My phone.
Okay. And you installed it on your Roku too as well?
Yes,
Have
it's
you?
on the Roku too. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now you've got Plex client on your phone and your Roku too.
Yes.
Which are now going to connect into your Plex Media Server, which is the Raspberry Pi.
Right.
Okay, so let's go through the steps together, Jeff. This is giving us an introduction to Plex Pass. It tells you that you can sign up for monthly service, and this is what you're going to get. Do you want these things? You can decide whether you want to or not. I'm going to say, you know what? No, we're not going to today, but you can always add that at any point. Okay, give it a friendly name so that you have a way to identify Plex in your apps. So let's call this our Plex Media Server. Does that work? Can you
Works
have
for me.
spaces? Let's give it a go. Okay, so allow me access to my media outside of my home. There's that question that you had.
Yep.
Plex will attempt to automatically configure your network to allow access to your Plex Media Server from Plex apps outside of your home. Nice. So it's going to actually use automatic features to be able to configure your router for you with UPnP, for example. Something along those lines to pre-configure your router. That's beautiful. You want that?
I do.
All right, let's go next.
This is exciting. Now, just a comment. Good Guy 98 in the chat room is saying that Rasplex is also a Plex client for Pi.
So you could purchase more Raspberry Pi units, which have a beautiful HDMI output. I know it's 1080p. It might be higher than that. Is it 2.7K?
I think it's 1080.
Okay. You can look that up.
I haven't paid attention,
but so you get full HD anyways at the very least, and so you can actually install that as your OS on a Raspberry Pi. And keep in mind, this Raspberry Pi 3 is our Plex Media Server. Right. This is the one that's doing all the encoding, so it's doing the hard work. You could probably get away with running, what is it called? Rasplex.com?
Rasplex.com.
With only one P.
RASPLEX.com.
With that, you could install that on a Raspberry Pi 2, save yourself some coinage.
Yep.
And it will I would assume, is going to run great anyways, because all the encoding, the transcoding is happening on here. That
Right.
said, if you don't mind paying the extra, get the Raspberry Pi 3. It's 66% faster than the Raspberry Pi 2.
It's
and
beautiful.
Exponentially faster than the first-gen Raspberry Pi. So if you can do it, grab a bunch of those. So with that, you can then, now you've set up clients all over your house. You've got one taped to the back of your TV, and
You're good to go.
all of your systems have Plex on them and whatever else you want to have on it. So that's pretty decent. Tonight, we're just looking at the server component, and we are accessing it through our web browser. The next thing is it's asking us to add our media library, which we don't presently have. So that's where we say, okay, now we want our media library. I've got my USB flash drive.
Right.
I wouldn't suggest using a USB flash drive for this on an ongoing basis because, again, like a micro SD card, you're going to prematurely wear your USB flash drive. You might want to have a good, solid, external hard drive, be it a spinning or an SSD. It's going to work. It's just, they're built for constant reads and writes,
Right.
More so than something like this is, which is meant to store a couple documents on, transfer it to your laptop, and then remove them.
Right.
So, okay, so I'm going to plug this into the Raspberry Pi here. There are 4 USB ports, so you got plenty of space. The Raspberry Pi doesn't need anything other than your Ethernet.
Okay.
Okay, so you don't have to have it plugged into a TV. You don't have to have a keyboard plugged into it now that we're done setting it up. We can actually use SSH to now remote into it and configure things.
That's true.
But you know what? It is nice to be able to use the GUI. And when I plugged in that removable media, you see that it actually found it. And it's got it. So let's open it in File Manager, and you'll see that it actually threw it in /media/pi/ and then this EC, so on and so forth. So that device is now detected and ready to go. Okay, so you'll see that I actually have, this is the Raspberry Pi screen, I actually have all this stuff on here. So in my Home Movies folder, I've got, let's see, that is an MPEG video, you see at the bottom there, MPG. I've got one that is an MTS, which you're going to have trouble playing on a lot of connected devices.
Yes.
and I've got a WMV. 3 very different file formats.
Yes.
Windows Media format. Sometimes you need to install encoders and decoders and things like that. So we're going to see if this is going to work right out of the box with Plex. So this is just a very basic media library that I've created. You see that I've sorted these, Jeff, into home videos, movies, music, and TV shows.
Right.
Right. The reason for that is I actually want to set up each of those folders as a different media library on Plex.
Okay.
So that I don't have home movies intertwined with my movies library.
Makes sense.
And you can even go a step further if your library is huge and break it up into categories. So I have TV shows drama, TV shows crime, TV shows sci-fi.
Okay.
And those are individual folders which I've added individually to Plex.
Right. Okay.
Okay, so now from my interface, this is my web browser on my computer, okay? So I'm actually looking at this through my web browser connected into the Raspberry Pi. I'm going to click Add Library because I now know that my Plex Media Server here has that USB drive plugged in. I can set that up. Remember, this is Debian, right? So I could set that up in FS-Tab so that it automatically mounts to the same place every time, but I'm plugging it in and leaving it in, so it's always going to be the same. It's got the same ID and everything,
right.
So that's fine. But if you have any trouble with it changing, or if you change the drive name is going to change. So then you can go into do a quick Google search or search in your favorite search engine for permanent mount external hard drive FS-Tab, file system table is what it stands for, and that will show you how to do that. It's nice and easy, and we've actually covered it several times on the show here, so I'm not gonna do that tonight. But in this case, so now let's start with movies. Okay, so we're gonna call this movies. We can name it whatever we like. So this is where you could say movies sci-fi. Right.
Okay.
But I've got all of them in one folder. So I'm going to click Next. Browse for your media folder. Now we know that is in, well, look at that. It's put it right there. Let's see what we can find. Does this let me go right into it? Let's try going into /media, Pi. Where's my media? Come on.
Is it just taking time to think, or? Oh, there it's added. Then if you hit Add Library.
That's the whole drive, though. Okay, well, it's scanning everything. That's movies. Let's actually go into Plex, because we're looking at, let's actually go next without adding a library.
Okay.
And skip over this whole step. Send anonymous usage data to Plex. I'm okay with that. Are you okay with that, Jeff?
Yeah, sure, why not?
This is going to help them to develop it. Okay, so now that I'm in Plex, let's try adding a library here and see if it's any different as far as what we get.
Oh, what about add folders?
We'll see when I click Next, it selects that. Now I can browse for it. And it's not showing me the whole folder tree. I'm looking, folks.
Now, what if you clicked your USB, threw in your / your /, and then typed?
I could let's see if, okay, let's go over here and let's say, okay, home videos, okay? Normally this would be incredibly seamless. It may be the USB. You know what? Jeff, can I go with the FS-Tab route just in case it's because we're allowing this to automatically mount itself? So let's actually cancel out of that. And I am going to show you that after all. I wasn't intending to, but let's do it. Let's do it that way. Okay, so what we know is that this drive is currently mounted. So if we go to our terminal, nice thing about it being mounted is we can find out the device ID really, really easy by typing, and if I type it in the right window here, sudo mount, and that's going to show us the device is, there it is, dev/SDA1, okay? So I'm going to remember that, dev/SDA1. Do you see what I'm seeing there?
I see it.
It is looking in media/pi. That's the actual mount point, okay? So I'm going to unmount that, sudo umount media pi EC32 and now it's unmounted. Okay, so it's gone from my system.
Okay.
But I know that it was dev/sda1. So sudo nano etc fs tab. Let's actually make it a part of our file system. I think that's probably going to work better for us. So the first thing that we do here, this is the file system table. This tells our Raspberry Pi what drives to look for and mount at boot time.
Right.
Okay, so this is always going to be the same. So all we need to do is tell it what we're mounting and where. So first of all, we're going to say dev/sda1 was the drive name, and then hit tab, and then we're going to tell it where we want to mount it. Now, we haven't created a mount point yet, but we will. So what we're going to do, we're going to call it /mnt/library, and do not forget that, because you're going to need to actually create that mount point. This is a FAT32 drive, so we're going to use vfat. If it's NTFS, you would use NTFS. If it's ext4 or 3, you do that as it would be. You can read the man pages or just do a quick search on the internet for fstab for the formatting. We're going to use defaults for this, and we're going to go 0, 0. And what that does is it says, when I boot up my computer, the Raspberry Pi, don't scan this thing. Don't go through a file system check or anything like that. Just let her boot. Okay, so if I Control-O to save that, because I used nano, and now I need to create that mount library. So cd/mnt, there's nothing there, so sudo make dir library. Okay, so now there's a folder here that is empty, and we're going to create a mount point out of it. One thing that I love to do before I mount anything on a mount point is I use chatter +i and then the mount point. Okay, I need to be super user to do that. So now when I go into the library folder, you'll notice it still looks the same, but if I try to touch a file, it will fail. Okay? The reason that I do that is because my mount point, if the drive is for some reason not mounted, I don't want things accidentally being saved to the mount point,
Right.
as opposed to the drive, because then when I do plug in the drive, it will fail to mount because there's stuff in the mount point.
Right.
So I've just stopped it from being able to write to the mount point when it is not mounted. Okay, so now if I type sudo mount-a for mount all, now if I do an ls, is it grabbing it? Sudo, oh, you know what? I need to get out of the folder because of chatter, go back into it. There it is. Okay, so now if I touch test, sudo touch test, because it's owned by root, it created the file just fine. Okay, sudo rm test. So now we need to change the ownerships here to pi. So we're going to go sudo chown pi -r for recursive pi, I think is right, and then we're going to go library. Changing ownership operation not permitted. Did I use super user do? We'll set the permissions. Why would it not let me change the ownership? It might be read only, which is fine. Dev SDA. It's read write. No, it is obviously read write. Okay, well that's... I love it when I start showing you something and it fails, and it really doesn't actually matter because we're only reading from this drive anyways. It is our video library, so I don't want to spend time figuring out permissions and things. I could see if I was writing to this for some other reason, I could change the ownership, I could change the permissions. I don't really think it matters. What we want to know is now, can Plex mount from /mnt/library. So that's where we go back to our computer here, and let's try adding a library, movies. We're going to call it movies. We're going to browse for media folder, and let's hope MNT library.
Look at that.
There you have it. Okay, so we've learned something here tonight together, folks, that it's good to not trust the GUI. Do it through the terminal, do it the right way, use fstab, mount it properly, and as I say, we're only reading from this drive, so I don't need to worry about the permissions. If you do, you can use chmod, chown to set the permissions. I'm not too sure what they should be on a Pi, but it doesn't matter in this particular instance, and we can deal with that on another episode. So let's go into movies, because this is our movies folder, and we're going to add. So now, add library, and you're going to see it has no content, but it just suddenly picked up the Prestige. Okay. So there's nothing there. There's no thumbnails, nothing. That's fine. Let's go home. and we see a movies, and whoa, what's it doing? It's spinning its wheels. Nice. Okay, let's add another library. So we're going to go over here, libraries, and click on the plus. And we're going to go TV shows, and it's called TV shows, and we're going to go next, and we're going to browse to our library, which is in /MNT library and TV shows, and add. Okay, so you notice that one actually had a subfolder. Did you notice that? Right at the last moment there,
yeah.
Doctor Who is in a subfolder. Okay, and that's cool too. It doesn't have to be in the top level. It can be all organized for you. Add library. Now, TV shows are a little bit different because they have to conform to the formatting of S01E01 for Season 1, Episode 1.
Right.
If you don't have that formatting, Plex will not know how to deal with it. It won't know what it is.
Okay, good
so
to know.
when you add a show, make sure you include S01E01, S01E02. Right? S02 for Season 2, E01. No spaces in that, all caps. All right, that's important. So you'll notice that that started importing Doctor Who Season 1. Okay, let's go home again, and let's, oh, look at that. The Prestige is loaded. We're going to look a little closer at that in a couple of moments' time. Notice I didn't have to do anything or tell it anything other than just add my library. Let's add again, and we're going to go home videos. Okay, this is important that you use the home videos category because Plex is not going to know where my daughter going to the Strawberry Festival is as far as cover art and descriptions and things. So we're going to select home videos and then browse for our media folder, go into where we created our mount point, and there it is. Okay, add library, and now we've got a handful that are going to be loading in. Next up, add another library, and I wanted to also show you that Plex supports music playback, not just videos. So let's go next and browse to our music folder on my media, MNT library music, and we see a few CDs there organized into subfolders. So what do we want to do? Create a basic music library, or we can, if we want, pay for a premium Plex music library, which gives us access to artwork, artist bios, additional stuff. So there are advantages, and you read the details about why you might want to subscribe to Plex Pass.
Right.
Right now we're going to create a basic library. Where do you want to import the info from? From iTunes? Included in your dashboard, use embedded tags. Yeah, you might want to do that. And when scanning your library, use embedded tags if present, using the agent, personal media artists, or Last.fm. Last.fm, of course, if they're kind of official CDs. If it's private music that you've created yourself, personal media artists would be the one. And go through and choose, set it up how you want. You can always delete and recreate the library. It's not going to actually delete your media.
Right.
Okay, so now I've got some home videos here that are loading in.
It does a screenshot.
It's created a screenshot from the video. Let's look at the Prestige. So when I click on it, we see a couple of different things. We see that the community of Plex users and online have given it 4 out of 5 stars. We see the rating, we see the category, the year, the description, actors, everything. And even the quality here, and then we can just click play. Now remember, I'm looking at this through my browser. We're streaming this from a Roku 3. It's put it into full screen mode, and if all goes well, this is kind of the moment of truth, right? Because we're doing a lot on that Raspberry Pi 3.
Yeah, there's a lot of loading going on right now as well.
There is a ton of stuff going on right now. Because we're importing and it's accessing the internet and getting cover art and everything, but its playback is
Look at that.
beautiful and smooth. So that file, I'm not even sure what file format it was, but it's playing. So let's go into my home media library. So this is our dashboard. This is showing us, the most recently added stuff. But over on the left-hand panel here, I can actually go into movies, music, TV shows, or home videos, and those are the folders that I created. So if I click on home videos, you'll actually see the videos. So if I click play now on one of these, it'll tell me the name of it, when it was filmed, the quality, and so on. Okay, so hit play. And remember that these formats for the home videos were all different formats. Okay, so right now, as we wait for this moment, Plex is actually saying, okay, what's the current format of the file? What are you streaming it to? What do I need to convert it to on the fly in order to play it to this particular device? And there it goes.
Look at that.
Brilliant.
Wow, your kids are so little.
They're so tiny. Okay, so now let's go back and let's click on the one that was I'm assuming the third one was the WMV file.
Yes.
Oh, it says WMA2. So there you go. So click on that. And let's see what happens. Can Plex play WMV to my devices? And the answer is yes. Yes, it can, because it transcodes on the fly, and that's what we did tonight, was create that Raspberry Pi Plex Media Server, which is allowing it right now as it thinks to convert that to a format that's playable on my device.
Look at
there
that.
you go.
Wow.
It says, okay, the server is not powerful enough to convert this video for smooth playback. Okay, so that's the answer to, is the Raspberry Pi powerful enough for this? It may have some stuttering issues. So what could cause that? One, ready for this? It's going to surprise you. I have a slow USB flash drive that I'm using there.
Right, that would make sense.
Okay. Get a fast USB drive. USB, look at the specs of it. The read speed should be super fast. That's where, again, an external hard drive is going to perform way better. However, looking at Plex, we can actually go into the settings on the fly and change the bit rate.
Look at that.
Okay, so on the fly, I can actually downgrade the bit rate to something lower so that it's going to play a little bit better on my device. If you hit snags, if you have trouble, that's a possibility for you as well. So upgrade that hard drive. Make sure it's a nice fast one. The external hard drive is going to be the best option for you. Let's see if this plays any better at a lower bit rate here. As we wrap up our special tonight on creating a Plex Media Server using a Raspberry Pi 3, and it is working fantastically well. Jeff, I want to know how it runs with your external hard drive, so let us know.
Oh, for sure.
It is going to perform even better with that because the media is going to be a lot faster.
I'm excited about this.
And there you have it.
Wow.
So
good times.
It is taking a little longer to transcode to a lower bit rate because it's got to think and it's got to do all that. But I think the Raspberry Pi is going to do it, folks. And you know what is really beautiful about the Raspberry Pi? You can set it up, you can play around, you can do all this stuff, and then you can throw a different SD card in it.
And play a retro Pi.
Or wipe the SD card and put something else on it. There's really no limit to what you can do. The performance issues that I have right now with transcoding, guaranteed those are going to be at least improved by upgrading the hard drive because I'm just using a cheap USB 2.0 flash drive.
Right. And it was still processing thing as well.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm seeing it on the screen, finish processing this. So I mean,
it's doing a lot of stuff.
Back-end stuff.
If we go back here, and you'll see now there's our music library. It's got the cover art, even though we don't have a special account. Doctor Who, if I go into the Doctor Who folder, you see that the episodes themselves have loaded and continue to load. And in fact, it will show me, this will continue to load, finished processing, it just said. So let's see if it gives us more information now. As it loads, it's actually saving the information about this particular series. So eventually, within the next little, 20 minutes or so, we're going to have a full description of the episode. We're going to have the...
Just like the movie.
Just like the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the whole thing.
All that information.
For the episode, on an episode-by-episode basis. Jumping back to our Plex Media Server, click on Piano Guys, and there's all the music. You can click on a particular song, and it's going to start playing. And there you go. It's your all-round multimedia device for home, and that's Plex Media Server. The device itself is the Raspberry Pi 3. Get it at cat5.tv/pi, spelled P-I. And, of course, Plex Media Server, if you follow the directions tonight, it's free to install. And then you just need that app for your devices to be able to play it.
$6.
So you get a Roku 2, you throw it on there for a couple bucks, and you're good to go for life.
Yep.
There you go.
And now I can sit here and using my House of Marley Bluetooth headphones, hook up to the Bluetooth there.
Oh, yes, it has Bluetooth. You could actually hypothetically do that. Nice.
Exciting. Man, what a good show. Tons of stuff covered tonight.
Cheers.
I love it. You still keep trying to chop off your finger.
It's pretty cool. I hope you had fun. I certainly did. I always enjoy the show and love having you here. Jeff, pleasure.
Chat room was hopping tonight. I kept looking over. I mean, tons of activity, lots of interaction.
Sorry if we missed you.
Yeah.
Tons going on. But hey, enjoy, and thanks so much for being here tonight. That's all the time that we have. Actually, we're a little over time.
Yeah.
And I hope that you have a fantastic week. So we'll see you next Tuesday night.
And if you have a Tesla, do not watch this episode while driving.
Please don't. Just don't do it.
We are worth it, but that is not worth it.
For the record, no texting and driving.
Yeah.
Okay.
What are you talking about?
Just never do putting that out there. See you guys.
Bye.
Night.